What is up, everyone? Welcome to. We're going to do a lot of season recaps, pre corona season recaps for the NBA. And if the league starts back up, we'll get there. But, two guys that I wanted to bring on the pod at the same time for a while. Connor's been on the pod before to talk about the Cavs. Sean, his brother, is now on as well. The thinnest brothers. We're here going to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers season so far, what we can expect and all that. But let's talk to the people themselves. Connor, how's it going, man?
Really well. I mean, we're doing it as well as we can with the quarantine and social distancing in place. I've got two young boys, 5 and 2.5, so it's a little interesting making sure to keep them occupied and not trying to tear each other apart. So we're having fun with them and just kind of settling into whatever we need to do, and looking forward to talking about some hoops. Considering we can't watch much right now, I might as well, like you said, get in some talk on how the season went and what's going on with them.
Yeah, Sean, how's the quarantine treating you, man?
It's going pretty well. We start working remotely from at the office starting Monday, but I actually started Friday because I work from home once a week on Fridays. So we do it once a week regularly, work from home. So we were kind of prepared to go full-time remote. So that's been good. I do a lot of the operations administration stuff at work. So that involves IT. So this was a busy week for me getting everybody prepared for that. And just my boss working with policies and just kind of a situation that none of us have really faced before. But I live alone, so it's been pretty boring, but trying to stay busy. Connor sent a hilarious video of his kids just going crazy that provided some entertainment.
You guys have the complete opposite scenario.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Group chat and Twitter has kept me sane,
And these podcasts, right? We got
Yes.
Google Hangouts. But yeah, so like I said,
how are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm doing great. Just watching a lot of basketball, doing a lot of content. Just keeping busy, trying to get exercise, doing like yoga in our living room with the wife. It's just me and the wife, so we gotta get our exercise in. Trying new meals and foods, like just a lot of different stuff that normally we might not get the time to do because commutes take a while.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway, let's get to the Cavs. Like I said, season recaps, and the Cavs have had a very interesting season. I don't know if the bottom of the league standing, or bottom of the East at least, standing is that much of a surprise, but some of the other stuff I feel like was a surprise. I just want to get started with the main, just the big news event that happened a few weeks ago with the Cavs in Coach Beeline, mutually leaving, not even taking the salary that normally is guaranteed. He's just got out of there. A lot of different events happened, like that Thugs incident, and then reporting from sorry, I can't name the names because I forgot, but that like players were playing Bone Thugs and Harmony and Thugs Mansion and like just different Thugs related songs, which I thought was a little bit funny, honestly. But I'll go to you, Connor, first. Because preseason, Connor, you were talking about how you were really enjoying the hire, that he can really develop the players, and I didn't necessarily disagree either. But what did you think about this happening?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had to feel some optimism because the idea was this is going to be a 5-year program. Yeah. And so we were just buying into the fact that we brought in sort of an adult for the room type of approach and saying, hey, this guy has a system, he's got success, the track record is pretty impeccable from really low levels all the way up through, and now he's going to do it in the NBA. And there was a commitment there, right? Which, it's the commitment side of it, I think, was a really important piece because it's been really ever since LeBron skipped town again, it's been pretty flighty from a standpoint of who's in charge and sort of who has a voice in the room. And so that was why we were optimistic. I think we saw pretty early on the defensive struggles were still there. Some of the offensive sets weren't exactly tailored to the personnel, and you were just kind of hoping that as they found their footing, the younger guys would really identify with him. And then you hit trade, see what some moves, were made and see who's really going to be sticking around, and you'd have a core moving forward. But as you started to highlight, it really did seem like the losing really started to wear on him, and that frayed a lot of the nerves. And I think it's something that is watch out for moving forward, right? When you talk to those college coaches, like, it is a different thing to be losing 4 or 5, games in a row consistently throughout the season. And that's just not something that the type of college coach that you're going to is used to doing and used to handling. And it really seemed like that took a toll on him personally in terms of how he was managing the team and what was going on. But then obviously everything that you heard was that, he's having trouble identifying and sort of finding common ground with the players as well. So it just got to be really tough. But I still think, and Sean, I think you and I were both still surprised to hear, over the All-Star break, the news sort of had as it did.
Sean,
yeah, I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere. The speed of it, because it wasn't immediately after the incident, with the thugs versus slugs. Like, if it were to happen right after that, I don't think anybody would have been too surprised. But then to have, I don't know how long it was, like a couple weeks after that, and then it was immediate, was odd. And then just the reporting about he's going to stay in the organization at a different position, which, there's been little information about that that's come out. Whether I don't know if I necessarily would have wanted him to stay around. If he couldn't deal with the losing, then it's, I don't know if that was going to cure much, because we kind of are on a trajectory of losing for the next few years. So, I don't know. I guess a lot of it to me comes down to expectations, and it's from, whether it's Dan Gilbert or whether it's Beeline taking the position, what you're hearing now is, or the negative fallout comes from people having too high of expectations with this organization. And it seems to be like we're trying to rush through things or skip steps. To Connor's point with like college coaches, I mean, if you're the amount of games you're going to lose, like not only just the streaks, but like you're going to lose more games as an NBA coach in one season than a whole entire season of college basketball. So it's like, you need to be ready to lose like 6 in the 60 game range.
That's a good point. Yeah,
maybe it's one of those things where until you do it, you can't simulate it, and you can mentally try to prepare for it. But like just going through the rigor of it, I mean, those quotes from him were made me kind of think that maybe that would have happened with any kind of lower tier job that he would have taken in the NBA. That it wasn't necessarily friction within the locker room only that led to that. I certainly don't think that the film room incident helped at all, and I think that was kind of one of those situations where no matter what the intention was, it's a situation that you can't really come back from. And sometimes that happens in life, where even if it was a mistake, it just is best for everybody to kind of part ways.
100%. And like, he wasn't the only thing that was causing, like, the losing is definitely one thing. Maybe the lack of defensive effort maybe was getting him annoyed or whatever. But then, like, that's the coach and player.
Absolutely.
That's the coach and player relationship. But then you got the GM player relationship, and then the Kevin Love situation, where, like you were saying, the locker room might not have been that bad, but also there's these other forces that Beeline isn't necessarily in charge of, with Kevin Love having a really long contract, him not really liking the losing and liking being on a team that doesn't really have a short-term future when he's trying to win now, and the GM not really being able to make a move because no one wants that contract for the next 4 years at $30 million, and like 29, I think it declines at last year. So what do you make of that, the whole Kevin Love situation? I'll start with you this time, Sean. Like, that, it's just another thing that ruined the locker room, right?
Yeah. I mean, going along those lines, I think with a team like this, a young team that right now doesn't have a lot of history of winning, you need stability. So all those different things really hurt. A better run organization or a tighter knit organization might be able to deal with that, but we can't. You just need as much to go right as possible. But I think that kind of goes back to expectations. Like, what was Kevin Love told when he signed that contract? There's people that say, well, you took the money, so, just suck it up or whatever. But also, if he was told that we're going to push and play vets and, try to get, the 8th or 7th seed, and then, right into his first year, Ty Lue's fired, maybe the directive was to play the younger guys more, and Love thought that the vets were going to get more playing time. And then it's from a GM perspective of trying to move the Kevin Love contract. Everything I always hear is that we kind of want the sky and the moon and the stars for our players. And Kevin Love's trade value just isn't that right now. His value on the market isn't what his contract is. So we were probably going to have to move a pick along with him, I think, was what I was hearing. And, we just kind of were asking too much. But
apparently there was there was one report. Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I think the problem is, like, we have so many needs that, like, we don't have the one thing that we could plug in where we could search the market and find a trade partner for Kevin Love to find that exact need. It's just like, we just want a great deal.
Well, I think what you need is to not have that contract.
Well, yeah.
And I think there was
Connor's
one deal
better with the contract stuff. I would defer to him with the Love contract and any of the other like the vet guys that are possibly coming off the books.
Was there any way they could have gotten positive value for Kevin Love, or at least gotten off of that contract without adding anything? Because I think there was one reported trade piece that was just getting off of the contract, no extra deals.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they wanted to just get off the contract for basically like negative value or no value, they could have. I think what was interesting about them going into the season was that they had so many people on those types of expiring contracts that they were going to have a choice when it came to deals of, do you want to see what you can do with your expirings and then see how that might impact your future moving forward, or do you want to try to use the Love contract as a different type of lever to spring things forward? And I think as they went through, I mean, Love has played fine this year is what I would say. Okay. It's 17 and almost 10. Like it's become hilarious and trite to always be sort of pointing to what he does here and what his contribution has been here, because the numbers are always, pretty darn good, but then you watch it and you're like, man, I wish he took over more. I mean, I don't think he did anything necessarily that would have gotten another team really excited about giving up a lot of assets for him. So I think what the team decided to do then was, okay, it's not there right now for the Love contract. So let's take a look at what we can maybe do around the fringes and, say what you want about a player like Andre Drummond and kind of how he fits into the NBA now. But I think that was the other direction to go, was try to use the expirings to do something, we'll just say interesting, whether it's valuable or not is up for debate, right? And then sort of kick the can, so to speak, to another year down the road with the Love contract, because the more of those years that go off of his contract, the more ability you're going to have to get positive value. And frankly, as Sean was mentioning, you're going to be bad for probably 2 more seasons maybe, and you're looking really at, can you get Garland and Sexton and Porter sort of settled, and maybe by the time you have them settled, it's time to make one of those moves. So I don't know that they had so much urgency from Love from a standpoint of moving, because who's going to take the space free agent wise, but at the same time, I think they had some opportunities on the fringes, and that's where you get a deal like the Drummond deal.
Sean, what do you think of the Drummond deal?
What was that deal again? I totally forget.
Well, what do you think about Drummond?
Was around it? Getting Drummond as a piece.
Yeah, because you didn't really give up that much. It was.
It was Henson and I think
that's right.
Brandon Knight.
Yeah,
right.
It was super not a lot of value.
No, just expirings.
Yeah. So I kind of looked at it as sort of taking a flyer. We weren't doing anything with those two guys. I don't know what we would have gotten for them. I've kind of been more of a Drummond fan than other people, as much as I could say that. I mean, I don't think he's great, but I don't think he's, some people think he's terrible and just an empty numbers guy. But I mean, if you could throw up 17 and 12 a night just consistently, and that's what it seems with him, is like he pretty much does that every night. If I don't see a lot of Pistons games, so Forgive me if I'm wrong, but he just seems to be a consistent presence down low. I don't know how much buy-in, you're going to get from him. The knock has been kind of that he's not super into basketball or just his level of dedication overall. So coming into the environment like the Cavs have, that's kind of you worry about that. And I think he actually said something about his first week here that it was worse than Detroit, which is always lovely to hear.
Great.
But I mean, yeah, the talent is there. He's a huge guy. He could take up a lot of room in the paint. I would hope that, I was watching the Cavs Bulls game, one of the few Cavs games I get to watch here in Chicago. And it just seemed like the paint was wide open. And so, you would hope that maybe he kind of shores that up a little. It was confusing because the 3-point line was also wide open. So I don't know what we were actually guarding. But I'm not against it. You're not going to get people flocking to Cleveland in free agency, so you have to do stuff on the trade market. And he's a proven guy. He's a starting center quality. Maybe I don't even know if there are 30 starting centers anymore, but probably if there were, he might be. He might be on the lower 15, rather than the top 15. But he's a starting level guy, which is what we're looking to add to, his contract, I think, is, coming
the
up
money's
soon, though,
the money's kind of wild. Yeah. So it's like he'll opt in, and I think it's like $29 million.
You think he'll opt in?
Next year? Opt in. I think he will, because I don't think he can get, like, if I really game it out, like, I don't think he can get more long term than he would if he went another season.
Also, now
I
with I don't know the
yeah.
effects of this whole season suspension and
Exactly.
whatever. Like, you don't know, 28 million might be worth a lot more.
There's so much uncertainty, and so the idea would be like, look, if he opts in, and I mean, is there a big difference between free agent class for someone like him year over year? It's one thing when you're talking about swingmen or guards to try to like sort of play the market and be like, hey, it's a little light on guys that are like me this year, but how many people like Andre Drummond come up year over year? Not many. So the idea that he could lock that in, and he's going to get the playing time. I mean, he's going to be, sort of a major piece for a team like this. So he'd have the opportunity to just come ball out. And, I will say, if he plays well here, nobody here is going to bat an eye about bringing him back. Because to Sean's point, we don't get a ton of free agents coming to Cleveland. And so, they would be and have been more apt to hold on to their own, so to speak, to try to build teams, because it's a little bit easier that way than trying to bank on some stuff in free agency. It just hasn't been there for this team.
Yeah, I
mean,
Go
consistency.
ahead.
Sorry. Yeah. I just, I would like to avoid as much roster turnover as possible. So if guys had played, 40 games together, let's go for another 40 more and just keep that train going. So if somebody, is healthy and can produce and is okay with being here, by all means, keep them here and get some consistency.
Yeah. And I've liked the idea, Con. I don't know what you think. I mean, I've liked the idea of the young guys being around a player like Drummond from a fit standpoint. I mean, if you've got two, really small guards in Sexton and Garland, what are you going to be putting around those types of guys? Mm-hmm. And somebody that can play defense like Drummond, but also, play some pick and roll and the lobs, I think is Lord knows we haven't been getting that necessarily from Tristan. So,
someone who can, make a play. I feel like Drummond's playmaking ability is almost on par with whoever else they have as playmakers. That's like the one thing with the Cavs. I feel like Sexton I feel like is getting better, but still isn't a strength for him to, just dime people up. Garland, definitely not this year at least. We'll see how that develops, and I kind of want to use that as a transition. I do agree, Drummond gives a steadying force, but I feel like they need, I don't know, Dellavedova maybe is a mentor for them, or
I made a note during the Cavs Bulls game. It was like halfway through the second quarter that I think the most competent point guard play was by Dellavedova.
Yeah, because
up to that point, I mean, and then actually Kobe White came in and probably took that over for the rest of the game, which is good probably for you as a Bulls fan. But yeah, I mean, they do need some playmakers and some semblance of offense, like a sense of purpose on the offensive end. It just looks like a lot of pickup ball. So I think that's where you're going with, Dellavedova kind of guiding them towards setting up other teammates more and running through some motion on offense.
Connor, like, what about these young guys? Where do you stand right now? Obviously, it's only the second year for Sexton, rookie year for Garland, so they're not going to be like world beaters right now. It's just, I feel like it's been pretty consistent that their playmaking isn't there. Like, just looking at assist percentages. So normally when you're a playmaker, you want at least a 25% assist percentage. Right now, the only person on the Cavs with a 25 plus assist percentage is Dellavedova with 29. The next highest is Darius Garland at 18.5. Brendan Knight, Jordan Clarkson, Kevin Love, John Henson. 7th is Colin Sexton. And it's just, there's no creation on the team. And do you think it's something that they can develop? Like, have they shown flashes from what you've seen so far?
Yeah, let's spend some time on Sexton and Garland. I mean, the fit always going to be a question, right, with the side with these guys. And showed some flashes, I'd say, in maybe the first 20, 25 games. You'd really hope that jumper was going to be a bit better than it's turned out to be. And really, I mean, the metrics and, stats in general have taken quite over the last, 15, 20 games or so with him. Now, at the same time, Sin has seemed to turn the corner over the last 15 to 20 games and has, both played well. I mean, the guy's always given, 110% out there. I mean, he's flying around the court, but he's been able to convert that to some more consistent offense lately. He's been a guy you can count on for a bucket. I think what you're pointing to, though, and it's an appropriate point, is that, between those two guys, you got to be able to run offense. So it's not just them getting their own shots and their own stats, but they've got to be able to facilitate more. And I mean, I think the hope was that, Love being such a good passer, and really the rest of the guys can make a pass. When we talk about guys like Nance and even Clarkson while he was around. I mean, there's some guys that can facilitate a bit, but you wouldn't lean on them to do that. And so I've become a team without a country. I mean, without that true point guard that's facilitating like that, it starts to be like, all right, whose turn is it, this offensive possession? Felt that a decent amount. Now, the nice part of the last 15, 20 games, Sexton's been able to convert on more of those, and he's had some bigger games doing that. But, until you have somebody that you can count with that, and then to Sean's point, sort of more of a backup type, that obviously a Dellavedova type guy that is at that stage of his career, until you get some of that cadence, first team, second team, and then start to figure out the off-ball guys, it can be really tough. So Sexton, I've been really encouraged by. Garland, I mean, it just hasn't happened this year.
Con,
My bad.
you good?
Yeah, I was on mute.
No worries. No, you're good.
And so I'll just pick it back up.
Sure.
So let's just move on to the third rookie then, because I feel like he's also not a big playmaker. Kevin Porter Jr. Yes, you have Windler as well, who got hurt before the season or right early on in the season because of reporting.
A red shirt year, yeah.
Yeah, Beeline was pushing too hard after Summer League and because of after the
during Summer League or preseason.
Hard draft workout process for players like that in the mid lottery or 10 to 30 to second round range. They're kind of working out for everyone, and then go right into a grueling summer camp or summer league like camp type environment.
2-a-days or something.
2-a-days. So it's just not. It wasn't the right move. But Windler, we don't have much to talk about there. We already talked about Beeline. Let's get into Kevin Porter Jr. Again, I actually liked him as a pickup for them with the last pick in the first round. He can score. He can create shots for himself. Maybe he can learn to create shots for others, but I think the first step to, create space for yourself allows for the creation of shots for others, so maybe he'll develop that. The defense isn't as like it wasn't going to be there this year anyway, but I think he has the tools to become a good defender. It was just the some off-court stuff that I guess led to his dropping in the standings. You guys basically just bought the pick for 4 second rounders.
Yep.
What do you feel about Kevin Porter Jr. so far? I'll go to you, Sean.
The first thing I notice is the pace that he plays with.
Yeah.
He seems very relaxed out there, but like he gets to the spots that he wants to. So that I was impressed by that with a rookie. You know, he doesn't seem rushed, and I did think that helped him with distributing the ball a little. You know, I thought I saw flashes. I haven't seen too many Cavs games, unfortunately, this year. I have seen a few of them that he's played in, and I liked what I saw. Like you said, it was kind of a low risk buy-in for us. A guy that was projected to be a lottery pick, lottery talent for sure. Coming into a tough environment for any rookie, you know, even a high top 5 pick would have a hard time coming into an environment like this and succeeding right away. But I liked it. I like getting some length for the backcourt on the wing. He might possibly even play some small forward probably, but just kind of a wing type presence, having some length, because I don't feel like we get into the passing lanes enough. You know, that's one thing I would hope that Sexton would improve upon, is kind of just getting some possible turnovers, you know, and getting the ball the other way down the court. So I like that with KPJ possibly, you know, adding some length on our defense too. And it looks like he's got a sweet shot.
Yeah, Connor, how you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, when he gets it working, so, you know, and Sean and I were able to go to a couple games together when he was in over the holidays. I did that subscription pass, so I was probably at about 15 games this year. And, you know, Sean kind of hit it, like his pace, like he looks like he belongs out there, which is just not something to just sort of overlook, especially when you're talking about somebody that you made that type of move for. I mean, I think, Con, when we talked earlier, the beginning of the season, I was like, this is exactly what you do with second round picks. You know? You package them up and you take a flyer on a guy, and he sticks. So first and foremost, it was a good move and should be something that, you know, a feather in Kobe Altman's cap. But at the same time, with respect to what he can do out there, yes, he can run hot and cold at times with the shot, but I do like the way that it looks. It's really just, is it falling, and you just got to get him the ball. He's had a couple of, you know, small sort of like knick-knack injuries this year, but nothing to write home about, kind of, you know, sort of fluky stuff, banging knees, and he got a concussion too. So nothing to worry about there. I think, to Sean's point, like, you're going to need to succeed, you're going to need a few guys like him. And so, you know, I think the idea of, you know, finding that type of talent later in the first round is great. You just got to get him out there, and I'd like to see him playing with, you know, with the other young guys, to see what kind of rapport and how you can expect him to play, you know, off of or next to Sexton and Garland, and then see if he gets some chemistry with some big guys. Like, I'd like to figure out exactly. He's run the floor really well, and we've had some fun dunks and such from him. So that's been cool. But it'd be nice to see a little bit of how he relates and the types of big men that he likes to sort of play off of and play around. But yeah, all in all, thumbs up, and happy he's a part of the crew. He's a fun guy to watch.
Yeah, I mean, those are, I guess, the general broad points that I did want to hit. But let's, you know, I want to open it up to you guys for any sort of either lasting thoughts or things that you want to see moving forward, which players that you're comfortable with in the rebuild. Just generally, like, take it kind of wherever you want to go. I'll go to you, Sean, first.
So I think generally, you know, moving forward, you want to go with 3 to 4 rookies this year. Obviously, the 3 rookies this year: Garland, Windler, and KPJ. The second-year guy in Sexton, Drummond, you know, and build around that. See whoever else wants to be here, with the vets going out the door and the contracts coming off the books. I'm not totally sure what the picture looks like with them. And then one of my main things is just, can we buy in now to possibly 3 years of Bickerstaff and just say, we know that, you know, this year, next year, possibly 2-3 seasons, we might not make the playoffs, but can we improve? Can we add pieces on the periphery as we improve these young guys and get them consistent playing time together? See what we have. build an identity on defense. What play to our strengths, what are we good at, so that we can, when times get tough, you can rely on that identity. That's what happens a lot with us on both ends of the court, is we don't have an offensive or defensive identity. When the first movement breaks down, there is no second or tertiary movements on offense, and that just evolves into pickup ball. So developing that, an identity, and just, improving the young guys and trying to maintain expectations from top down in the organization, so that we don't make rash decisions, that are going to impede our progress.
What about a player we haven't talked about, Larry Nance? What do you think of his game, and how's he been playing?
I like him as a rotation player. He can, like Connor said, he can move the ball. I feel like he is capable of more consistent play and kind of even knows it. I don't know if this is the situation for it, but he's shown flashes out there being able to, kind of work the high post and move the ball.
He should be able to take Tristan's minutes. I mean, at least a solid portion of them, which would be good.
Yeah, we got Dellavedova's $9 million expiring, and then Dante Exum on a 2-year deal, 9.6. How's he been looking since he's on the team? Is he still injured? What's going on with Exum?
Yeah, right. I mean, that's usually the first question with him. I mean, he is. I can see it. Like, I can see the talent. You go to the games, you see him playing out there, you see the length. Like, I get it. And you talk about where guys are at in their career. I mean, he's only 24. I mean, it feels like we've been talking about Dante Exum for 10 years.
Yeah.
And so, for him, he's expiring next year. But that number, I mean, 9.6 is a lot for him. So he's the kind of guy that you would like to have maybe a little bit more time to think about. Really, he should be your secondary ball handler to, Garland and Sexton coming out of the game or coming off the ball. So we'll see if he's sort of capable of doing that. Again, kind of midstream. So maybe a camp, gets him a little bit more chemistry with the group that's around. But certainly not a bad asset to have in terms of. I have a feeling people are going to take flyers on Dante Exum for at least another 3 or 4 years. And then maybe it'll work out or maybe it won't.
And we have to get to my guy, Jetty Osman.
Your boy.
The Turkish crowd loves him. Just extended 4 years, $32 million. Last year, not guaranteed, but I thought he might get more. I feel bad because there's no playmakers around to set him up, to help him out, be a better version of himself. He does a lot of different things well, but nothing elite. He can pass it, he can rebound, he can shoot it, he can bring the ball up, but he's not elite at anything. So him as a glue guy, like on a LeBron team, I would love him. He was playing well and maybe would have gotten more money if he had been in a better spot. But what do you all think of Jetty?
Another guy. Yeah, another guy, Sean, who's, again, Jetty's 24. Like, you would think you'd think he's older. But again, I think what Jetty needs to be is more of a defensive asset. And, if he can hit some threes every now and then, he seems to get left for those shots every now and then, which would be nice to see him knock down. But I don't know about you, Sean, but to me, it's his space is actually being a plus defender, and to me, that's just what he's got to work on. If he doesn't become a plus defender in your rotation, then it's tough to justify, given the minutes in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, the size he gives us on defense, you would hope that that's one of his strengths. I did like the 2-man game that he kind of showed with Drummond. There was a couple times where they had sort of dribble handoff stuff, and he's going straight to the hoop, in those situations. So he's a good slasher. I think he was maybe like 4 for 10 or something like that. So I mean, he's a decent enough shooter. But yeah, you just kind of hope that he improves. Like you said, nothing really stands out with him, but he's able to kind of give you little bits and pieces of everything. So you'd be kind of a glue guy on a LeBron team who can step up at certain moments, but when you're on a team like this, the spotlight kind of shines on glue guys more than it should. We might be asking him to do more than he's capable of, or he's not going to drop 22 a night, or at least at this point in his career. But yeah, he's a young guy, athletic, can run the floor, so he's capable, and you just hope that he improves his game year to year.
100%, and all my Turkish followers are following the Cavs very closely because of Jetty.
Yeah.
So.
There you go.
Jetty Ruxpin,
sure.
That's what we were calling him.
Yeah.
And then rounding out the roster, Ante Zizic, Dylan Windler, and Kevin Porter Jr. We talked about Windler and Porter a little bit. Zizic, if you have any final thoughts on him, we could close out the roster.
I mean, I love the fact. Yeah, I love the fact that they play Annie up by MOP every time he makes a bucket. So that's always funny and appreciated. Yeah, I mean, he's talk about another big dude. I mean, if you're gonna set a rotation with a guy like Drummond, right, and use a guy like that, I mean, there are centers in the league where you need a guy like Zizic, but I'm not really sure exactly what they'll try to do full time with him. But he was surprising in some moments. The Sixer game before Embiid went out, he had a couple of nice moments in that game. So I don't know the ceiling for Zizic, but he can certainly be the I need a guy that's plus 7 feet to play 10 to 14 minutes a game. He can absolutely be that guy for somebody, whether it's here or elsewhere.
If Zubac can start for the Clippers in whatever, like not
Exactly.
starter minutes, but because Harrell gets a majority of those minutes. But if Zubac can play that role, I think Zizic definitely has a role carved out for him. I got Sean's final thoughts, and then we kind of rounded out the roster. So I'm gonna get your final thoughts here on the Cavs, Connor, and then we can close out.
Yeah, it comes down to Sexton and Garland. I feel like Porter will have a nice, solid, steady trajectory, and maybe 2 years from now we can wonder if he can make the kind of jump that you see certain wings make, where like all of a sudden the pieces kind of fit together for him, and now they're just kind of running the floor and the handle is there. But I feel like that's, another year to 2 years away for Porter. To me, it really just comes down to, are you going to get all-star level play from Sexton or Garland? And again, Garland did not have the year that he would have wanted to have. Maybe the expectations weren't quite fair considering how little he played in college and coming off of the injury. But you've got to have one of those two guys be an all-star if the team and this build of the team is going to succeed. And so that's really where the focus is. You hope that Love doesn't break down and can continue to at least give you the production that you're getting now, and then you can see if there's a move to be made around that. But I mean, this team will go where the Garland Sexton duo can take it, unless Porter can really make a jump, probably a season and a half or so from now. So I'm optimistic that Sexton can be a borderline all-star guy. I don't know if Garland can get there. And then if that's the case, I don't know if that's going to be enough to give this Bill a chance. I agree with Sean on the Bickerstaff note. Again, praise to the Beeline hire from a standpoint of stability. We got 60 or so games of that. So really hoping that, right or wrong, we end up trying to put this program in place that Bickerstaff would want to run.
Let's give it a shot.
See where that takes us. Yeah, right.
Connor, I just real quick I'm wondering if you felt like I did watching more Cavs games than I did, but the times where I saw Garland and Sexton playing, it just seems like Garland is much more of a natural point guard than Sexton is, and it kind of almost seems like Sexton is destined for a Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford role. And, I hate to rely on that because it seems like that people who can score 20 a game and, you can't identify much else, they get relegated immediately to sixth man role. But it just seemed like what I saw from Sexton was, slashing, going to the hoop, shooting pretty well, especially in the second half of the season. And Garland seems like more naturally looking to distribute the ball and kind of run an offense.
Yeah,
is
Con,
it as
we
easy
talked
as
about that at the beginning of the year. Yeah, we talked about that at the beginning of the year, right, Con, where it was like, who's your crunch time five? And it's like, if you've spent 2 picks as high as they have on Garland and Sexton, they got to be out there at the end of the game. And so I agree, Sean, with you in that Garland is more of your natural handle the ball and distribute. He's got, it's a very good looking, shot. It's just got to start going in more. Mm-hmm. But he does seem more of your natural point guard. And then Sexton would sort of play off of that as the secondary ball handler. But they both got to be out there if this build works, right? And so, yeah, I would agree with that assessment. And then, we just got to see if it'll work.
Yeah, and I mean, you could see that in the numbers too, just the assist rate numbers. He's 19% for Garland and like 15 or 14 for Sexton. It's a decent measure of how playmaking they lean.
Yep.
So that makes sense. I did want to. Sorry, I've been adding on to these as much, but I just thought of this Kobe because I remember seeing this tweet. Kobe Altman's kind of moves since he's become a GM and traded Kyrie for Isaiah Thomas. Gave Larry Nance $45 million, although I don't think that's like crazy bad because it's declining and whatever. Gave Love that contract. Fired Ty Lue, championship coach Ty Lue. They obviously using that tweet to say championship coach Ty Lue, but not taking in the full context. And then hires and fires John Beilein in the same year. Sexton, I think this jury's still out on whether or not picking him over SGA or Michael Porter Jr. is a full-on, like, really big mistake because the draft is such a crapshoot generally in that sense anyway. He is picking up. We saw De'Aaron Fox not be really good this first year and then really pick up the second half of his second year, which is similar, albeit a little bit different playing styles to Sexton. So we'll see how he develops. And I just want to get Sean before we actually close out. I promise, guys listening, where you stand on the Kobe Altman GM saga.
Yeah, so I was really against the Ty Lue firing. I just think it was, and what I've seen from this organization is just kind of overreacting or
just a handful of games in. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, we had gone to 4 finals in a row. The guy won it, I think 3 years prior. So it was, to me, what were we expecting that season to look like? So I disagreed with getting rid of him, especially without a clear kind of plan B. If you're going to get rid of a championship coach, then you better have somebody behind him in play. So definitely was against that. The Nance contract is okay. Kevin Love, I think, was going to get paid. That's kind of the championship hangover kind of contract. If it wasn't him, it might have been somebody else that was part of that, just given when the timing of contracts came up. So I can't really fault that contract too much. We had money, and who were we going to give it to is some people's line of thinking, however much you buy into that. So I don't know. I think the jury's still out on him. I'm not sold, but he hasn't blown me away either.
All right, we're gonna end with
I think Con.
Sorry. Go ahead. Get your thoughts in.
No, what I would just sort of just really quickly piggyback on that would be, with Dan Gilbert's health situation and kind of the overall flux of the management of the organization. I think the idea is that they're going to stick with this guy for a while. He's going to have some wins and losses or some ups and downs, whatever you want to say. But I think they've committed to him. So if Staff's going to be his guy, then too, I think what you're looking at is like the two of them tied together. And I think if Bickerstaff succeeds, Kobe Altman's sticking around, and if Bickerstaff does not, I'm not sure that Kobe Altman's going to be hiring another coach.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like I said, we're going to end with this new segment, very relevant to the times, the Quarantine Corner, or the Corona Corner, or the Corona Quarantine Corner. Right? A lot of alliteration there. We're going to go with the Quarantine Corner, and I want to get your thoughts and what's going on with you, Connor, with quarantine with kids. I just want, what's crazy about it, what's difficult about it. I want to bring some, real world topics into this conversation.
Absolutely. So my wife and I both work, and we've got 2 boys, 2.5, and they go to sort of full day daycare and school. My oldest will be starting kindergarten in September, and so we had them at the facility all of last week, but starting Monday we're going to have them home with us here. We'll both be doing the work from home stuff, so that should be challenging. At the same time, I would just urge the social distancing is an important part to this. And there's, you were mentioning yoga before. I did like a workout thing off of YouTube with the boys. We were jumping jacks and stuff. I mean, we're staying active and doing things, right? But it's really just being smart and understanding and knowing that it's not just about you, it's about other people, right? And so like Sean and mine's mom lives here in town in Cleveland, and she's turning 70 this year, and so it's like that's who you're also really concerned about, right? Is you might be okay, and your kids might be okay, or your friends might be okay, but how is it going to impact maybe other people? And just being smart, listening to the experts, and making sure that you're taking care of yourself, and then thinking about other people. But we'll get through it. It'll definitely be an interesting thing when we look back on the year of 2020. All of us having to deal with this. I don't really recall anything quite like this in my lifetime. So a crazy thing, but I think we can all get through it.
Yeah, I think everyone should just go find their closest introvert friend and ask them how they like to live their lives. And, and take some notes. But appreciate both of you hopping on. The
Real
thinnest
quick,
brothers. Go ahead, Sean.
Wait, so real quick, I was watching yesterday, 1997 NBA playoffs round 1, Bulls Bullets. So I'm gonna watch game 2 today. I think that the Bullets team is kind of a team lost to time. With Weber was always one of my favorite players, but I just at that age was too young to be realizing what I was watching, but also watching MJ in his dominance too. So YouTube has plenty of old NBA games or other sources on the internet.
Yeah, dig in the crates, everybody.
Plenty of old NBA games that maybe you were too young to appreciate at the time. So that's another way to stay busy.
I actually haven't watched the Bulls finals games in full, any of them. So I think I'm gonna have to. Man. I think I'm gonna have to go back.
Absolutely.
Obviously highlights, but like never in full. And I feel like the in full is what you
game.
need.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Watch them, man. I caught a Sonics Bulls game from that finals maybe maybe 3 or 4 months ago, randomly, and it was really fun to watch. So go for that, Con.
Well, appreciate everyone listening as we close the show like 8 different times, but it is the final the final 10 seconds or so. Appreciate you guys following the Bench Mob NBA. Hit me up at Iconic. Hit these guys up on Twitter at Connor Thinnis and Sean Thinnis. I don't give your handles, guys, if you want people to follow you.
Mine's go ahead, Sean.
I'm at Sean Mikyo, SeanMicyo, at Sean Mikyo on Twitter.
Yep, and I'm at C Tinnis, THIN on Twitter. Look forward to it.
And
Thanks, Con.
are out. Peace out, guys.